Hello and welcome to another episode on Dirty Saxophone Gaming. So today is going to be a tutorial. I'm going to try and explain what using your iframes is like and whatnot, and let's try to, I guess, get the conceptual understanding of it across to people who might be interested in learning how to use it. Maybe a little bit of history, just talking in general about it, and some showcase. I'm actually going to be using iframes on some of the monsters in the game to try and get across exactly what I'm trying to teach. So, for those of you who are unfamiliar with iframes, they stand for invulnerability frames. And invulnerability frames are basically moments in time, I guess, during the game when your character is invulnerable to damage. And this doesn't apply to everything across the board, and invulnerability frames are also pretty technical. You have to know how to use them in order to apply them. And there are some fights with some attacks in very special instances where iframes do not apply, like during Fatalis's Inferno Breath, when he flies up into the air and breathes at the ground. You can dive a few times to mitigate the damage, but that blast, the one that hits you, doesn't matter what you're doing, you're always going to get hit by it. Your iframes don't protect you from it. Although you can survive that attack, by the way, just as a side note. Not trying to make it sound like it's impossible to survive. At least at this point, I know enough that I've seen it enough to know that you actually can survive it depending on what you do. But that's a discussion for another time. So, alright, I'm going to start off with the skill that is responsible for your iframes, or a skill that directly affects your iframes. And that is Evade Window, as you see it there on the screen. So with this build that I'm using here currently, I have 5 levels of Evade Window. It's honestly free when you're using Fatalis armor. And look, I mean, I even have Divine Blessing in there, Focus, Power Prolonger, Peak Performance. All the damage skills I could possibly want, really. And all the utility I need as well. So in the end game for Iceborne, Evade Window is like a free skill. You might as well have it in there, especially if you know how to use it. So I did some reading a while back, and it was stating that I think someone had narrowed down exactly how much time you get from Evade Window 5. And I don't know if they were correct, but I'm gonna use this math regardless, because the math, in my opinion, is in the end unimportant anyway. But at 5 levels of Evade Window, apparently you get something like 0.5 seconds of invulnerability frames. So that is 0.5 seconds of time in which you are impervious to damage. So when you use that skill or time, it probably sounds intimidating just mentioning it like that, right? It sounds like math, it sounds like something extremely precise, but it actually, I guess it is precise, but you'd be surprised how your brain rationalizes it after a while. Every time you use your iframes, your brain isn't like, okay, 0.5 seconds of time to dodge an attack, and then you pick a certain time to roll. That's not how it is. It's actually about rhythm. You start to kind of, I guess, acquire an instinctive understanding of the brief period of time that you have to not get hit by attacks. And then you start to apply it to certain monsters or to their attacks and whatnot. And it has nothing really or very little to do with time. For example, for some of Arch-Tempered Velcana's attacks, it isn't about time when I'm using iframes to dodge. Sometimes I use physical cues on Velcana. Like sometimes there's an attack where it starts breathing onto the ground, and I'll pay attention to its chin and how close it is to the ground as it's doing this, and that distance between chin and ground increases as you watch it. And there's a certain level that I've kind of attributed it to knowing that I can dodge. So those are the little cues that you take. And at this point in time, I don't even look at the chin anymore. It's become instinctive enough that it's just a time thing. I see the attack starting, and my brain already just kind of understands when I need to roll. I probably should have explained. So this here is a roll, right? You're looking at it. These are rolls. That's when you roll with your character. And each one of these rolls has iframes in it. So something, I don't know if it's actually 0.5 seconds, but it has a brief period of time in which your character is impervious to damage. In some cases, you can even use it to phase through attacks. Specifically, I think that the best example is probably tail whips. You can literally roll through a tail whip, right through it, like this. But you have to be careful because your iframes do end, and at that point in time, you have to start to worry about being out of the hitbox at the end of your roll. That's about maybe the hardest thing, the thing that takes the most practice to realize, that your iframes come to an end. So when you use your iframes, you want to be rolling in a direction where your motion is taking you away from the hitbox that you're avoiding, so that a hitbox, if it lingers or if it's sweeping across a wide area, doesn't still hit you at the end of your roll. So let's say, maybe, I don't know if this, it's better if I just show via the monster, right? I'll see if I can bring out a monster that has a long tail or something, so I can show it off. Might even do Velcana, because Velcana's ice beams are similar to similar to the tail whips. You dodge them the same way. Alright, so there are multiple moves that have iframes. This one here too. I don't think I can do it. I guess I have to have something attacking me in order for me to use the Superman dive. Yeah, most likely. So the Superman dive has loads of iframes. I'm sure that one has way more than 0.5 seconds, and which is why it is the I think the favorite go-to for a lot of new players. Is just start spamming the Superman dive and you're safe. And yeah, most of the time you are. So that move has iframes, and with the switch axe, for example, there's this hop here. This hop, this little side hop, could be a forward hop as well. Those little hops have iframes, but those hops actually have less iframes than your full rolls. So that's another layer of practice that you have to kind of crack if you're trying to learn this sort of thing. But once you do, it's really useful, especially for damage. Not only for just survival, but for damage. But learning how to use your iframes also teaches you to play measured. I was one of those players as well. Like most of the time when I see people rolling, they just most of the people panic roll. You know what I mean? It's like the monster hits you, and your first instinct is to roll as soon as your character is up, because you are trying desperately to get out of that area. But panic rolling can get you killed because, like I said before, your iframes end very, very soon after your roll is completed. And if the monster is sweeping that area with an attack at that moment, well, you just used up your roll and now you're going to get hit. And if you've already taken a hit prior to that, well, then you just took another one and you're most likely dead at that point. Alright, so I'm going to demonstrate with Zhang, and the reason why I chose Zhang is because Zhang is by far one of those monsters that for sure will force you or teach you to to not panic roll, because if you're rolling immediately after you get hit by Zhang, you're just not gonna you're gonna get killed a lot. Whoa. Well, I guess I set off the toad. Didn't mean to. What's up, monkey? Oh yeah, and you can roll the roars. So you see there that I rolled the roar, and that's from using iframes. So if you know when a monster is gonna roll, that is also practice, like I said. Gives you another opportunity to do damage. Alright, this is the Superman dive here. This is the one that people love to use. You know, spam Superman dive. Woo! Shit! Alright. Okay, so here we go with Zhang. That attack there has a really long sweeping hitbox. It lasts a while. This one here, pretty quick. Whoop. Oh, that one there, not only, it has a pretty small hitbox, but it has tremors. But you can also iframe tremors, by the way, for some monsters. For Xenojiva, I don't think you can. Look, there he was roaring, so I just iframed it. Invulnerability frames work against attacks, and they work against roars. And there, I'm just bad idea, right? I just wanted to showcase the iframes, and it didn't go so well for me because kind of rolled in front of him, right? So this beam here is too wide for you to just roll through it. And those are other little things that you learn from practice after a while. That attack is pretty quick. Whoa. Let's see. Alright, so that attack there is not iframeable by any means. Okay, you see there? If I had rolled just a second too early, I would have gotten hit. And that move there, the lunge, you can actually roll through him. Like, roll through his body. Completely phase through his body to get out of its range. Whoa. I could have rolled into his body there too. Okay, there he tapped me. You see that? Those are iframes. If I had not rolled at that moment, or if I had just simply tried to run away from it, I probably would have been tremored. So I'm pretty sure the iframes work on that one too. Like if I didn't have the iframes, I'd get tapped by it. By the ultimate. So rolling lets me stay in position for attacking. But with Zhang, as per usual, you can't get too greedy because then he screws you. And like I said, that attack there is not iframeable by any means. You see there? I rolled into his body and didn't get hit. Those are iframes. There I rolled into his body again, did not get hit. Iframes. Okay, that one, as you know, is un-iframeable by any means. So that attack there also has a really wide point of impact. It's enormous. So it basically outlasts your iframes. So since it outlasts your iframes, well, it hits you. So you want to roll away from it. Like here, get behind them. If you roll towards where the point of impact is, you're going to get hit. And those are things you learn from practice. Before you get that practice, though, you gotta know what you're doing with your iframes, or even know what iframes are, right? Whoops, there's that un-iframeable attack. Oh, he's probably... Okay, I'd rather just wait at that point. So you get iframes when you're on the ground, by the way. If you get hit and you're on the floor and your character has not gotten up yet, you are currently taking advantage of iframes, and you're completely safe. Honestly, though, if I had been using Acrobat there, I would have died. He would have just... there, I iframed out of that at the last second. Just paying attention to what he was going to do. So yeah, like I said, Zhang is one of those monsters where you don't act before he acts. You act... You act after he has acted, or just as he's doing whatever he's doing. Because if you try to, I've never seen him shoot that thing that far away. Oh, okay. Let's see if I can get a head knock here. Nope. Oh look, that's being pretty agreeable. Anyway, so yeah. There's the head knock. Let's see what else I can show off with him. I want to roll through his body on one of his charges so you can see what it's like to phase through his body. Oh, there it is. See? He lunged at me, and I just kind of, like, I went under his arm, admittedly. There. Oh, that one actually has a really wide, kind of long-lasting hitbox, so I don't like to roll through that one. But some of the other ones are gonna, let's hit your ride on them. Woo! Let's see. Hopefully he tries to lunge at me in a moment. Lunge! That one has a really long-lasting hitbox, so you don't want to... You want to roll through him if you can, like here. Like this. Look. There we go. Just roll through him rather than with him, because if you roll with him, your iframes aren't going to last you. That one here, like I said, has a really long-lasting hitbox, so you want to roll away from it. These are little things that you start to learn from monster to monster. There's me rolling the roar. Know exactly when it's going to happen. Oh, he's angry now. So when he's angry, definitely run away. And look, I could just roll right through him here. Oh. Oh. Alright, so that's Zhang, at least for the most part here. I'm probably going to try another monster now. Look, there's another iframe. Get through the tremors. There, I rolled through his charge. Alright, now I'm going to try Velcana. I should have at least sent him away, I think. It's probably going to pop up on the next fight. So Volcano doesn't have any tail sweeps though, although it does have the breath, so it should work. Actually, should I? I'm gonna find a monster that has a tail, a really good tail whip attack of some kind. Let's see. Perfect choice right here, right? Yeah, that's gonna have to be it right there. It's gonna have to be Glaviness. So iframes, as you start to learn to use them from monster to monster, eventually you start to recognize other ways you can use it as well. Like for Nergi has those spike blasts that he does. Sometimes he sticks his arm into the ground and then squeezes and you see spike blasts flying outward. So those spike blasts, they have very brief hitboxes. So if you roll into them and through them, you don't get hit. Rathian's tail whips also very brief hitboxes. So using iframes is a matter of learning how brief the hitboxes on the attacks of certain monsters are. Where's Glaviness? Oh, no, wait. I haven't hunted enough Glavinesses, and it's just not even popping up on my map. There it is. I'm gonna wear this thing just to relax. I don't know why I'm hitting him. Just cause. Alright. There's the tail. Okay. There was an iframe. I didn't get hit there. Iframe as well. I would have gotten hit. Got an iframe at the right times. He hit me there. I rolled too late. Whoops. So there I was already out of the range, so he didn't hit me. Oh, he hit me there. So that thing has actually a pretty long lasting hitbox, so you want to roll away from it. You don't want to roll into it. I rolled that little bite. That one actually has a pretty low. It's a pretty quick hitbox. So I'm gonna enrage him because his attacks are different when he's enraged. He attacks a little bit more aggressively. Whoop. That was pretty late though. Look, there he tried to tap me. Okay. There's iframes. Look, this one here, this is a perfect example. Maybe it was because of the platform, but I'll try it again just so you can see. I basically phased through that tail. Oh, I phased into that one too, and it worked. I guess you don't want to go long. Depends. You'll figure it out the more you do it. And this one here, I can just iframe through it. Done it before. Iframe there. Okay, here it is. Oh. You just phase through the tail at the perfect time. You keep your eye on the tail. There it is. Look. That. Phase right through the tail. You keep your eye on the tail and keep your thumb really close to the A button, and you just kind of start to learn the monster's rhythm. You start to, okay. Yeah, that one hits twice when he's enraged. So yeah, that's iframes for tails. And if you can do this with Glaviness' tail, you can do it with any other monster's tail too. Fatalis' tail. You can do that, but you do not want to be close to the trunk of the tail because the trunk is super thick and it actually drags you along with the hitbox and it'll hit you. But if you do it far away enough from the trunk of Fatalis' tail, then you just iframe it perfectly fine, just like here. Might demonstrate Fatalis actually. Alright, so Glaviness. Glaviness is a really good way to practice iframes, especially the tail. I actually remember now. This is Glaviness was one of the monsters I fought when I was first starting to really learn how to use iframes. I already knew how to use them, but I wasn't applying them to a bunch of different monsters yet. I only knew how to fight like 2 monsters that way, and Glaviness felt so satisfying when I could just phase through the tail like that. Like I have been, unlike there, I got hit. Yeah, good practice, Glaviness. Alright, so the next monster I'm gonna try out... Relax, please. Next monster should be... Velcana. Alright. Volcano, and then it'll be Fatalis. So, some attacks from monsters have very brief hitboxes, like extremely brief hitboxes. And I feel like they do that sometimes, maybe specifically so that people can learn to use their iframes on them. Like, for example, AT Velc has a... Ooh, I have to be online for this? Okay, so AT Velc has an attack where it breathes onto the ground and then a bunch of icicles shoot upwards from the ground. And that thing covers a massive area, but it has the briefest hitbox ever. So you can literally just roll inside of it and be completely okay, even though it covers you all the way. A lot of Velcana's hitboxes are like that actually. The one that's coming to mind right now that isn't that way is the one shot where it like flies backwards, sprays on the ground in front of it in like a crescent, and you see these like a gash mark of icy spikes pops up, and they like expand from the ground. Now that attack has a lingering hitbox, and the closer you are to Velcana itself, the more dangerous it is. The more it'll eat up your iframes, basically. Eat up might be a confusing way of putting it, but what I'm saying, what I mean by eat up is something that will outlast your iframes. So with iframes, like I said, one of the keys, one of the biggest things to learn about it is knowing how to make sure, or knowing how to best improve your possibilities of your iframes lasting longer than the attack you're using them to dodge. So sometimes it's more beneficial to roll into an attack so that you come out the other side of it quicker, rather than rolling along with it. Although sometimes rolling along with it is actually possible. And that knowledge is available to you once you've done enough practice on it. Get the Wiggly Lychee, since I'm gonna enrage it as soon as I go in there. Alright, here's AT Velc. Alright, it's angry now. It's gonna be extra spicy. Alright, so that one there has a really long lasting hitbox. Well, not too long lasting. Once it stops breathing on the ground, you can roll in. But if you're in there while it's still breathing, it'll outlast your hitbox. And this here, there. That's how you get through the breath. So this here can also roll into it. The hitbox is pretty brief, so it's breathing, stopped, now I can go in. But if I'm still in there when it does that, then look here, boom, that's an iframe. So this here can also be iframed. It's a wave. Furious Zhang has an attack that is also similar, like a wave like that, and you can roll right through it. This here, roll. I can actually iframe the center one too, the one that encompasses you completely just fine. Can roll into this. The iframe, the hitbox is brief enough. There, that's iframing right through it. So it's the hitbox on that is so brief, like I said, that you can just perfectly roll right through it. This here can roll through that. It's the same concept with tails. The way that sweeping beam comes at you, there I roll through the hitbox of the tail, is also very brief. So this one here, again, roll through it at the right time. So you don't want to roll into it. I'm going to demonstrate what happens when you roll into it, because it will outlast your iframes if you roll. Like you don't want to roll into it. You always want to roll across it. Whoops, bad move. Alright, let me replenish my health because it does one shot and I don't want to have to come back running here. So there's that. Okay, look. Oh, what? That's still iframed. Surprising. Well, I iframed the roar. Okay, so even though it worked, you don't want to do it because you want to use your iframes as safely as possible. You see that? There, I rolled into it and I still got hit. These here are iframeable. I wanted to get out of there because I was getting my health back. So there I got hit because the ledges prevented me from rolling. Ledges are treacherous. Alright, let's see. No more ledges, please. So this here, those you don't want to roll into them in any way. They're pretty good at outlasting your hitbox. So here, I'm gonna roll in. Oh, that still works. That's a new trick for me, honestly. I had no idea. But you can use your iframes to a lesser degree the less evade window you have in your set. So I can do what I just did with the 5 levels of evade window, but maybe not with 3. and even less so with 2, etc., etc. Although 3 levels of evade window was enough for soloing Behemoth in Vanilla World. So 3, even 3 by itself is pretty formidable, and just it goes to show how good you can get with practice. And at this point, like I said, Evade Window 5 is free with the Fatalis set, so I might as well have it. And Evade Window 5, also one of the things that I really enjoy about it is that it makes it possible to roll earlier to avoid an attack, so that you recover more quickly and you can start applying damage. There, I'm gonna roll through the tail, right through it. So there's just efficient use of your iframes. You're rolling against an attack to get through it quicker. Because if you're rolling with it, you're probably going to move along with the hitbox, and you're gonna risk getting hit. So here, no longer breathing, so I'm in. Whoops. There I rolled into his body, and my iframes did not hold up. They ran out before the hitbox did, so I got hit. There's a hop. Want to roll against the grain. Roll against the grain. Yeah, that sounds about right. If you're using iframes, you roll against the grain, basically. Alright, gonna move on to Fatalis now. So here, iframe right through the whole thing, no problem. Here I can also iframe through the whole thing. Oh, too late. I'll demonstrate again. He's gonna do it again, I think. I don't know. So, like I was saying before, iframes are not a matter of math in your head taking place like you're some kind of genius. They are rhythm based. So once you get into the rhythm of things, it'll be automatic. There's an iframe right through that massive attack. Here's a hit, iframe into a combo. Massive DPS backwards. Positioning. Oh, look, he's going into his ultimate again. So this beam here is also dodgeable in the same way. You roll against the grain. Alright, so I'm gonna demonstrate Fatalis next. Abandon. Alright, let's try a fatty. So Fatalis has a bunch of ground explosion attacks that are very iframeable. But for me at least, one of the things that has always been kind of difficult for me is dealing with timing explosions. And Fatalis has some timing ground explosion attacks that still get me. Like, they really do still just... my brain doesn't parse them yet correctly or too efficiently. So sometimes they get me. But the more you do it, obviously, well, the better you'll get at it. Alright. Let's go see Fatalis. Hopefully... So Fatalis has plenty of long-lasting hitboxes and some short hitboxes. He's angry. You angry boy? This here. Hit iframe, iframe, iframe. Can roll right through this too. It has a brief enough hitbox that it won't destroy you. That one here, this one does not have a quick hitbox. It will destroy you. I mean, it has a very long-lasting hitbox. Your iframes will not save you. Nothing will, unless it's a rock and luck and proper positioning. There we go. I iframed that arm just like it was an appendage. Well, I mean, it is an appendage, but what I mean is like any other appendage, whether it's like a tail or who knows what. There's a little brief little iframe there. That one here has a really long-lasting hitbox, so you wanna get past it as quick as you can to not get hit. That one. Come on, trying to get me with your tail already. Alright, that one there has a pretty large hitbox in the front. You want to kind of get away. Unless you're a longsword user, you could iframe that perfectly easily. By the way, the longsword has, I don't know if it has like super iframes on it or something, but some of its like backwards motions, the ones that have iframes on them, are just like massive. The things you can do with that is just it's criminal, honestly. Anyway, so here we go with Fatalis. Nope, I don't want to iframe that cone because I will die. Your ear tickle? Give him a little ear tickling there. And a little ear scratch. Whoops, I forgot about that little puddle that it leaves behind. Come on, I need it to like attack me with the tail. Come on. Oh no, it's not doing the tail. I want to do the... Okay, I need it to stand back up. Come on, stand back up. Okay, he wants to catch me. He wants to one-shot me. Not happy that I'm using him as a training doll. Come on. Hit me with... Get on your hind legs and hit me with your tail, please. I iframed through that body hit, actually. Not this one, though. That one got me for half of my health, and he's probably going to kill me here. No, he didn't. Alright. Come on, Fatalis. You look so cute when you're on hind legs. I'm dead. Oh, divine blessing. Not this time. Come on, stand up on back legs, please. When are you gonna stand up on back legs? Spamming there, he's on back legs. Let's do this. Alright. Bait the tail attack. Gotta be behind him to bait the tail attack. Come on. Use your tail. I'm back here. Come on. Use the tail. Come on. I'm probably gonna have to literally bring Palico out here. I hope this guy doesn't join my quest. I'm just I'm just trying to show people how to play, that's all. There it is. Here it comes. Boom. Roll right through that tail. But if the closer you are to the trunk, though, the worse. You want to be away from it. Like that. It's an iframe. You can iframe so many things using that same concept. Iframe, 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 iframe. So that attack there has a really long-lasting hitbox too. I'm shocked it didn't hit me, the body slam. But as you can see, I tried to roll out of the scope to get away from it. So so as to try and just not run out of iframes before I get out of the hitbox. This one here is just kind of nasty. So I just try to get out of the scope. So sometimes when you try to roll out of the scope of an attack, your iframes probably wouldn't have held up. And sometimes your iframes save you at the very tail end of an attack. So sometimes you evade an attack based on both your iframes and getting yourself outside of the scope of the attack that you're trying to avoid, like this right here. That, like, I could have gotten hit maybe if I had just stood there, but the iframes at the very end of the at the tail end of that motion probably got me through it. I honestly can't tell you for sure, but I mean, there's some things you just don't test, or maybe you do test them out when you get caught, you know, because eventually you get caught. But yeah, the cone, there it is. So that's a good way to bait the cone, by the way. Get hit by the swipe. So I get out of the scope of that one because it's a long-lasting hitbox. I can roll through that. Alright, so I think for now that'll pretty much conclude my my demonstration, at least. A few different monsters to show off iframes. So anytime you're using your iframes, you gotta pay attention to the attack that you're trying to use it against. And like I said, roll against the grain. Sometimes rolling into an attack is actually beneficial. Sometimes it'll get you through the hitbox. Rolling with the motion of a hitbox, or like an attack in general, is actually putting yourself in greater danger of getting hit. But and yeah, iframes are not math. They aren't genius level math taking place in your brain at high speeds or anything. It isn't superhuman to be able to use your iframes. It is simply understanding of the physics of how it works. Like I said, try and make sure your iframes outlast the attack. It's understanding that, and it's also experience, because maybe you go and try these iframes against a Devil Joe. It's not gonna take you 2 or 3 fights and you're gonna perfectly know how to use your iframes. Every now and then you're gonna discover that an attack actually doesn't. It actually outlasts your iframes in certain situations, and it's all about experience. It's just like how much experience you have in using your iframes with all the different monsters. All of that has something to do with ultimately what you end up with, you know, like what kinds of skills you have. Anyway, so that concludes today's episode on Dirty Saxophone Gaming. I hope that this iframe tutorial helps somebody out there, and if it does, let me know. And if you have any questions, maybe something that I didn't answer in this video, feel free to post in the comments. I'll get back to it as soon as I possibly can, as quickly as possible. Anyway, thanks for watching today's episode. I had a lot of fun doing it, and I hope to see you on the next one.